So how much money do you really take home after all the expenses? After groceries, gear, rent? But let's not forget, the government wants their cut too. They tax us when we buy stuff, sales tax. They tax us when we sell stuff, capital gains. They tax us where we live, property taxes. And of course, when we work our butts off on our music, income taxes. But what if they didn't tax our income? Trump announced he wants to abolish income taxes if re-elected. Now, before you get your undies in a twist about Trump, I have this to say. Trump or Kamala ain't coming to save you and carry you to your dreams. The only one who can save you is yourself. Of course, Jesus saved my soul, but let's not worry about eternity right now. Politicians don't create jobs, entrepreneurs do. Dave Ramsey says this.
I know small businesses are where jobs come from. When you guys in government can take your hands off of small business, we're able to employ people and change things.
So if the government can just get out of the way and let us do our thing, help people, create businesses, and make a difference, and most importantly, take their hands off of our income, here's what Carlton Dennis has to say about Trump abolishing the income tax.
All right, so what exactly did Trump say? In a meeting with GOP lawmakers at the Capitol Hill Club in June, Trump suggested that if he is elected president in November, he will do away with federal income taxes entirely and replace them with what is known as a tariff policy. This would be a complete paradigm shift for the taxation policy that we currently have in America. I'm going to break down exactly what this would mean so that you have a better idea ahead of time in case Trump does become our president and we're looking at a major tax overhaul. If this does end up happening, we could be saving a massive amount of money in taxes, and you know I'm here for it. So first things first, what the heck is a tariff? You may remember the word tariff from like some random history class you took in high school. However, a lot of people do not fully understand what that word means and how it works. Here's the deal. A tariff is a tax that is imposed by one country on the goods or services imported by another country. So to understand how this works, let's look at a little example here. Tariff example number 1. The United States wants to generate more tax revenue while relieving tax burden for its citizens. So it decides to put a 3% tariff on automobiles imported from other countries. So a car dealer in America that would normally sell a brand new Maserati imported from Italy for $100,000 would have to sell it for $103,000. This gives the extra $3,000 to the US government. So when tariffs are put into place, certain foreign goods that are imported into the United States become more expensive. What does that mean? Are tariffs good? Are they bad? Ever since Trump floated this tax change, many people are wondering whether they are beneficial or detrimental.
Personally, I would much rather have a tariff than I would have income taxes, because even all the things that you buy outside of the USA, you could eventually find a US competitor that could buy it, and you can buy it locally, and then it creates more jobs in our country. But some of the things that could be affected by the tariff would be musical instruments, audio equipment, recording gear, strings and accessories, stage lighting and effects for our shows, DJ equipment, headphones and in-ear monitors. But let's just say some of those things did go up. How often are you really buying these things? Like, how often am I getting a new Mac? How often am I getting new in-ears or new speakers, right? Like, it's every maybe few years, right? Maybe 3-4 years. And so, but if that's only going up a little bit for every 3 or 4 years I make a purchase versus every freaking dollar I make every year is taxed, that would be gone. Personally, I would rather shoot for the tariff than the income tax, but Carlton dives into this even more.
Right off the bat, if people don't have to pay federal income taxes anymore, guys, this would eliminate an incredible amount of paperwork, stress, and headaches related to tax preparation and compliance. It would be a dream. This would mean fewer tax forms to file, fewer receipts to keep track of.
And let's not forget when they audit you and for some reason you can't find that receipt because it was years ago and maybe it's a Facebook ad or something like that and you can't download the receipt, but you're forced to show it. And if you can't show it, you can't write it off, even though it's a legitimate expense.
Fewer barriers to entry from accounting perspectives for people trying to set up new businesses. I mean, the list just goes on. Just think about it. Just imagine not having to file federal income taxes. How crazy would that be? All that time, energy, and money that people spend compiling all those federal tax documents to stay in compliance with federal tax law can now be spent just making more money.
And honestly, if you're fighting to want to pay income taxes, it's probably because you've never made any income before. You've never made enough, like maybe $100K or something like that, for the government just to stick his hands in it and just take a whole bunch of it from you. Or how about you're trying to compile all these documents, or paying accounting fees, or paying an accountant to fight something that the government disagreed on you for. You're constantly spending your time on trying to lower your taxes as opposed to writing a song or working on your business. Obviously, I'm triggered about this is because I have to pay a lot of accounting fees. I have to keep track of a lot of things and do my books and all this stuff. But imagine we didn't have that and it was just a tariff and we could focus on our business. And when we buy stuff, we pay taxes. Like I said earlier in this video, I'm already paying property taxes. I'm already paying sales taxes, right? There's even a freaking death tax when you die. Enough is enough.
But the other side of the coin is that the price of many goods in America, they would rise, and it's already felt like it's been rising. I mean, have you guys felt the heat of inflation lately? It's been absolutely absurd. If you're in the middle or lower income household, you're struggling right now to afford the price of goods and services like clothing, vehicle, machinery, food as is. But if you're someone who is leaning towards this argument, just remember that even if prices for imported goods go up, federal income tax burdens will still drop to zero. And when it comes to many types of goods, there's often an American supplier that would not have a tariff placed on it. This is another reason why Trump values tariffs. Placing tariffs on imported goods makes American produced goods more competitive in the marketplace. And for this reason, a tariff-based tax policy is often referred to as a protectionist approach. In regards to the tariff situation, it might also interest you to know that tariffs have been a major part of American history. In fact, prior to 1913, when the modern day income tax was established, tariffs was one of the many ways that the federal government was funded. Many of Americans' early politicians viewed tariffs as a viable way to fund the federal government without having to place a federal income tax on the American people and siphoning money out of everybody's paychecks. Yes, federal income taxes were levied during emergency situations such as the Civil War. However, for the most part, funding for the federal government came from tariffs and excise taxes and things such as like tobacco and alcohol sales. This is how America operated for 14 decades. So even though using tariffs as a primary way to fund federal governments seems like a completely radical idea for many people in today's day and age, this is how our founding fathers ran things back then.
Like I said in the last video, the best thing you can do is invest in yourself and get your income up. Raise your income, right? Get those skills so that you can raise your prices, make more money, but also you want to get the knowledge, right? I shared in that last video about how my first job, I was making all this money as a computer engineer, and then all of a sudden I get this huge tax bill because I didn't know about writing off my expenses, writing off my car, my gas, my food, all these different things. So what you don't know is hurting you. This is why I hire coaches. This is why I hire mentors, right? There is a shortcut. Somebody has already been there and gotten to where you want. I've hired Russell Brunson. I've worked with Grant Cardone, Frank Kern, Peter Daniels, so many different mentors. I spent probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching to get to my dreams and my goals quicker, right? And it was the best investment I could ever make because they can't tax it. Of course, we have a mentorship program that we just opened up where I'm coaching artists now every single week. It's Fanbase University. If that interests you, I'll put the link below.